Hey friends, welcome back to the studio. Today's going to be a super quick tutorial on how to crease leather. I'll walk through the tools I use, the settings I use them on, and I'll also show you how to do it with a manual creaser because I know some of you don't have a fileteuse machine. This is something that gets requested to me a lot, so instead of answering multiple DMs about it, I thought I'd give you a quick rundown on how to do it properly. If you're new here, my name is Will, I'm a leather worker. If you like the video, make sure you like it, share it, and smash that subscribe button. If you're already a subscriber, thanks so much, it's lovely to have you back. So, let's get to it, shall we? So first of all, I'll explain the tools I'm using. I'm using the fileteuse with an FN3 tip, as you can see here. Later on I'll explain to you how to do this with a manual creaser, but for the moment I'm using an FN3 tip. As for the heat setting, it depends hugely on what type of leather you're using. For this tutorial, I'm going to use some Italian veg tan shoulder, so very simple leather really, and it's on about a 3. Now, as a general rule of thumb, if it's veg tan, I use about a 3, and if it's chrome tan, I use about a 4, maybe a little bit higher, but most Aran goat skin, I'll use about a 4. Because it creases really well at that temperature. Very fatty leathers, you'll want to bring that temperature down because you don't want it to be so hot that you have to move your creasing iron very quickly along the edge. As a general rule of thumb, you want to be able to touch it and not burn yourself. Because if you think about it, leather is skin at the end of the day. It's been tanned obviously, but the tanning doesn't make it heat resistant. Some of them makes it more heat resistant than others, but you're still putting a hot metal thing onto skin. If you think about it like that, you won't go wrong. It doesn't have any chemicals on it at all. You need to be able to touch the creasing iron without it burning your finger off. Now, I don't suggest you touch your creasing iron when it's red hot. Please don't do that because you will burn your finger. I've done it. It wasn't fun. What I'd suggest is to have a scrap piece of the same leather that you're using. You set your creasing iron to what you think it is and you test it on that scrap. If you see it go black and burn marks and smells funny, it's too hot. So start at around a 3 for veg tan and around a 4 for chrome tan and work from there. But please don't burn yourself trying this. So the way I heat up manual creasers is I'll get the manual creaser, I'll get my blowtorch, and I hold it in front of the creaser in front of the flame of the blowtorch for a couple of seconds. It doesn't take much, and again you can test it on your finger. Before you test it, if you put your hand over it, not touching it, if you hold your hand over it and you can feel the radiant heat, probably too hot. So just a couple of seconds in front of the blowtorch like you can see here, and that'll work perfectly. If you need a little bit more heat, a little bit longer on the heat, but don't overdo it. Disclaimer, I'm not responsible for you burning your finger. This is simply a guide. Now to creasing. Same method for both manual and electric creaser, because all the electric is holding the heat at a certain temperature depending on what you've set on the dial. That's all the electric creaser does. Gives you a consistency of temperature and gives you lots of options. As far as tips are concerned, it gives you lots of options as to what you can do with that machine. So what I used to do is try and bring the creaser down and land exactly where I need it. Now, the likelihood of you skipping off and damaging the front surface of your leather is very high. So I don't recommend you do that anymore. What I recommend you do is tilt it out, bring it into the side of the leather, and then slowly angle it on. But don't hold it still, keep it moving, because if you hold it still you get stop marks. They're very difficult to get out, and you'll get a perfect crease every time. Now, a trick for you is you always want to go away from a corner. If you crease into a corner, you will stretch that leather out and you'll no longer get crisp corners. So when you're a couple of centimeters away from the edge, lift your creasing iron up, bring it to the corner, do the same thing but in reverse. So you never want to be creasing towards a corner, you always want to be creasing away from a corner. The first crease is where you want to put most of your pressure down. Depending on how prominent you want that creasing line to be, depends on how much pressure you put down. So if you want your creasing line to be really visible, put more pressure down. If you want it to be a really light creasing line, less pressure. It's really quite simple. This is exactly the same principle for your manual crease, so you just have to keep warming it up. The longer you crease for, you just have to keep tapping it, like waving it in front of that flame to keep it at that temperature. But don't hold it in front of the flame for too long, because like I said before, you'll burn yourself. This is quite a basic tutorial on how to crease, and I'll get into going round a corner at a later date. But the takeaway factor for this tutorial is test on a scrap piece first, go away from a corner and make sure that your tip is not too hot. You want to be able to go slow enough to put pressure on, but going that slow you shouldn't be burning your leather. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope it was useful to you. Don't forget to like, share, comment and smash that subscribe button for more content. I make videos between 2 and 3 times a week, so you'll always get something really interesting if you're subscribed, and it doesn't cost you anything at all. And I look forward to seeing you next time.